Welcome everyone to Over and Back. I am joined by Coach Siebert from Oregon, Coach DePouw from Greenfield. Unfortunately, you guys are joining me because you guys lost. I would have loved to have this podcast by myself and you guys were still alive in the playoffs, but that didn't happen. So we're going to recap regionals, preview sectionals if we've got time. And based on last week, I'm not sure we will. We'll talk closed gym league. That's draft is Tuesday night, not Wednesday now. It's Tuesday. So we'll talk about that a little bit at the end if we get to it. So you played 2 games, Chris. So let's start with Ryan's game. Friday night. Tell us about your game.
Friday night, Greenfield versus Martin Luther. Good competitive basketball game. We went neck and neck the whole way. Both teams have actually will be a trend when we get to Chris's game. They actually shot pretty well. Both pretty efficient offensively, around 1.15, 1.2 points of possession. The Hawks, my beloved Greenfield Hawks, we had an 8-point lead in the second, 7 or 8, 3-possession lead in the second half with about a little over halfway through, had kind of our chance to possibly put it away if we went on one more run. Didn't do that. Got back in the game. Then it was a coin flip, 1-possession game all the way through the end. Kid on Greendale, Perry Doris, hit a fantastic shot to put him up late by 3. We missed a 3 with, one last couple seconds, and they got fouled with 0.8 or whatever it was, and hit them both, and there we went. But good basketball game. Tough loss, and that's how it goes in March Madness. It's why it's fun, the one and done format. It's why it's super exciting and entertaining for the fans, and heartbreaking for the coaches who end up on the wrong side of it, but also incredibly exciting when it does break your way. But we'll had a good season, finished 16-9, and super young team coming back. We'll probably return roughly 90% of our scoring for next season. So hopefully we'll have a good off season and we'll be back in the dance next year. But got to put the time in.
So we're 2 days past it. Are you like today? Do you still think about that and like what I should have done, what we could have done? How long does that last?
Oh, constantly. Constantly. I don't know how long it'll take. Maybe I think probably by the time you get to the state tournament, you're all right. We're at some point we got to move on here. Hopefully, it takes a little less than that. But I did get myself to watch it this afternoon, and that may have sent me back into a spiral of questioning things. But ultimately, you got to try to, I think, remember it's really challenging, but all the time and prep you put into things, and you can't base when you're looking back, and you can't be so upset about every decision when the decisions you made were calculated on 24 games worth of data, and being at practice every day and all the stuff that goes into trying to put a game plan in. And when you execute, got to really try to be honed in on it, whether they were errors of effort or execution, or if it was a legitimately bad plan or bad decision, and try to learn from that. But I'll still be thinking about it for some time, I would imagine.
And I suppose, expectations, right? So it's like, that was a game that I think you expected to win, but like the further you go, like, and we'll get it with Chris here in a bit, but I assume it's easier to swallow losses when you are like, all right, well, we're the underdog. We probably shouldn't have won this game, as opposed to when you're in a tight game, like we should have won this game. It's your mindset's different, right?
Right. Yeah. For example, last year we were fortunate enough to make it to sectionals. We played Pewaukee in the sectional round, and obviously you prepare and try to do every single thing you can to win the game. And it's like when we talked about how you would play against DePouw last week with that Pewaukee run. You're like, okay, well, they have some fantastic players. They're well coached. They play great basketball. We're not just going to roll the balls out and beat these guys. We have to try to come up with a plan to what we might be able to exploit. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You're kind of more okay with how you lost, maybe more so than if it's a real tight game and every decision is magnified a little bit more. But I think that's a fair point. The further you get, and the I don't want to say better. Like Martin Luther's a very good team program. They won state just a couple of years ago and whatnot. But Pewaukee was a 3-time state or 2-time at the time state champion with multiple Big Ten players on the multiple committed Big Ten players on the roster. You realize you're trying to hit some variance and hit some grasping at straws a little bit on some of the things you can do tactically and decision making wise. And if they don't go your way, then it's like, all right, well, that's why you guys are incredible. Whereas when you're at home in a tight game, you look back on every decision with maybe a little bit more criticism of yourself as a coach.
Okay, Chris, your turn. Friday night, you had Madison East, right?
Yep, Madison East. It was a fun game. First half probably wasn't very fun. It was kind of a slog. Neither team could really score very well. We got out to a really nice start, led 8-0, and then kind of game was back and forth. And then they actually took a lead 52-53. But then we hit a 3 on the next possession and hit free throws down the stretch. We were as good offensively kind of to finish the year as we were all year. So it's good to have a second half and score that way. But yeah, losing still sucks. Then Saturday went to Kettle and played as well as we could. Honestly, shot the ball really well. But they're good. They're really hard to guard. They went 12 of 17 from 3. We were actually 9 of 16. So we were 21 of 37 combined from 3, which is as good of shooting as we had all year, to be honest. And really proud of the way we played. And Kettle's a good team, but losing is never easy.
So that was last night for you. So what was your day like today?
Yeah, still getting it together. I mean, I don't know. I haven't not gotten myself to watch it yet. Just looked at kind of the box score and stats. Just kind of been moseying around. Went to the driving range. Took advantage of the nice day. Gotta keep beating DePouw on the golf course this summer. So gotta put the work in.
I got out on the range too. Very, very therapeutic.
Yeah, but no, not a whole lot. Just thinking about, like Coach DePouw said, some of the things that kind of went on this year and what could have been different, and we'll get back to it soon.
So to kind of bring up a point, like I said before, was you're playing Kettle Moraine was the number 1. Like it's probably easier for you today to stomach that loss because you lost to essentially the best team in the sectional.
Yeah.
I mean, I know losing, obviously it's never fun to lose, but I'm just,
No, yeah, it's funny. There's like a roller coaster of emotions as a coach, right? You almost like come to grips with your season ending before the playoff, and you're like, all right, we're ready. But then, as soon as it's like everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face, and that final buzzer going to 0 is quite a big punch. Just really proud of the way we were playing at the end of the year too. But I guess you're right. Giving them going out with the game that we had and shooting the ball the way we did, definitely made it more fun. But yeah, it's funny in our sectional too. Like I think our guy, like we knew less about Kettle than anybody else in our sectional too. Like our whole sectional we see in the summer, or they're right around. So like Kettle, there's parts of Kettle that it's like, this is the big bad wolf. Like we need to beat this team. And, I'm proud of us for going toe to toe with them, and kind of gave our guys the belief that they could play with anybody else in the sectional. Just once you kind of gain that belief, you wish you had the chance to keep going, sort of type of thing.
How are both of you guys? How are your kids doing? How do they do it? I'm assuming it's probably all over, right? You probably got some emotional kids, some like maybe don't care or whatever, handle it better, but how are the kids doing?
It's funny that one of my people always ask you, like, do you think it was a successful year or not a successful year? And there's like a lot of different ways to gauge that as a coach, I think. And I think like one of the things I learned this from my high school coach, actually said it one time, and I never forgot it. I think one of the coolest ways to gauge success as a coach is if you look at your seniors that are out of the rotation, how did they at the end of the year in March, did the seniors that were out of the rotation, did they want the season to end? Were they ready for spring sports, or how did they feel about the year ending? And we had a couple senior leaders on our team, honestly, that wanted to win that Saturday game more than literally anybody in our locker room. And that, as a coach, was probably the coolest thing to see, and kind of feel more than anything on Saturday. So in that sense, it was a really successful year. Really loved this group of kids. Or I should say, honestly, in that sense, it was as successful of a year as we've ever had. But guys came together. Wish we could had another week together for sure. But yeah, losing stinks.
Yeah, I would echo. I think what you said was really, really spot on, and good job, Coach Steinhorst, putting that point in your toolkit there. But you had kind of the same thing, and I guess my frustration maybe isn't the right word. Obviously, wish we'd have won, but eventually it's gonna end for almost almost everyone. It's just when the abruptness of it is it's impossible to prepare for. Like, no matter who you are, I guess unless I've been fortunate, I haven't been either in a situation where you're in a 16 seed environment deal, but no matter who you are, the competitor in you is planning to win. And you kind of, Chris and I talked after that practice on Thursday, and it's kind of like a weird feeling going in. It's like, well, okay, is this the last practice? Are we done here? Are we not done? And I was lucky this year to have a group. I had a really small senior class, but same kind of idea. They were really broken up about it, which was sad, but also at the same time made me feel some pride in the program, that they wanted to keep practicing. They wanted to get back on Monday and do all the silly shell drills and breakdowns that they've been doing since November, and because they liked playing and loved one another. And that's cool stuff and makes it easier to stomach the more you get away. But man, it's still killer when you don't get it done.
I've said it on my podcast for the last 2 years. I still wake up in the middle of the night and have like sweats over Nina beating us 2 years ago with ice hitting that shot in Jameson's face. Like 9 times out of 10 that shot doesn't go in, and I still wake up. I'm like, what if like we could have gone to state? Like, and I'm just a parent. Like, you guys are closer than I am to that stuff, so I can't even imagine different scenario, but
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that you speak on, that like in coaching, sometimes you can't really obviously control everything, win or lose, but like you're just trying to play the percentages, and you speak of ice making that one shot, and how that changes win or lose. But in reality, you play a great game, and you can put in a winning effort, and a make miss game, 12 of 17 from 3 will be in my mind for a long time. And you can not change a thing, and it can very easily say 5 of 17 and the game's a completely different game, or the other way around too.
I think that's going to be a trend. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't know if you're segueing, but like perfect time. Like, that's going to be a great trend when we talk back through some of these matchups. It's just the variance involved in basketball, and particularly in 2024 basketball with the 3-point shot, man. And the difference between a 30% shooter and a 40% 3-point shooter over the course of the season is really significant, right? That kid is, a marksman versus a solid shooter, but in a 1-game playoff, that's, still, 40% shooter still misses 6 out of 10, can easily go 0 for 7. And that 30% shooter can have their 5 for 8 game from 3. And all of a sudden that swings a matchup. And that's just, I think, the way basketball is played in 2024. And, the 3-point marksmanship, I don't know what I was making, but the attempt rate of Greenfield has been mentioned in this podcast before. So we're involved in this too, but just the changing game really makes maybe for more of these upsets and some of these wild upsets or unexpected upsets to happen.
So Chris, 12 of 17. I didn't think about this until you were just talked about it. I didn't see the game. Were these like wide open threes? Were they tough threes? Combination of both? You know what I mean? Like there's 12 to
Yeah.
17 sometimes looks, well, yeah, they're wide open in his zone, like something like that. You know what I mean? I'm just curious of the,
No, well, first
context
of
of
all,
it.
I'll start with Kettle Moraine. They have a really, really good point guard that not a lot of people know about. Going to play at St. Norbert next year, named Will Stuckey. Really, really good offensively and really smart. So like they don't take bad shots. He's a great leader. The other guys are good decision makers. They really don't take bad shots. With that being said, they have three guys that can, I think, really, really, really shoot it. And we guarded all three of those guys with no help whatsoever. Tried to take away all catch and shoots, closing high hands, you name it. Everything we were doing to try to take away threes and make all their looks as difficult as possible. And outside of maybe one offensive rebound kick out and one NBA line three, we could have had a better hand up. We did a pretty good job. And those three combined, let's see here. 7 for 11. So, and then the role guys, they don't play a non-shooter, but they're other guys, that were, trying to help stunt and recover to or whatever. Went 5 of 6. So like,
Jeez.
their best guys shot it really well on tough threes, and Stuckey went 4 of 5 on all like off the bounce high ball screen type threes. He hit one at the end of the half that was a big time shot. That he's gonna be tough late shot clock, and he's tough within the game too because he's good with and without the ball, and he's smart. But end of the first half, we were up one, had a nice take to the bucket. Missed the one that I thought we were gonna make. Got the offensive rebound, missed the putback that I thought we were gonna make, and that was under. Kind of it was that weird situation of do you hold for one, but we kind of had a semi transition or semi advantage, went to the basket, thought we were going to make it. Old board missed the putback, and then Stuckey comes down and makes a three right before the half. Tough 5-point swing right before the half. I thought that, a big play right there. But
I love how you can like just rattle off. Like it's like it happened just, I mean, I know it was last night, but like you can remember exactly what happened every
Yeah.
single play.
yeah, the ones stick with you. You remember certain baskets. Yeah, for sure. You remember each basket, each one of those star players scored that you thought like got them going to
Yeah.
get that next shot too.
Yeah.
But they got they're a good team. They're a complete team, and their other guys are just like basically the story of high school basketball is like any team that's really good, it always comes down to like their quote unquote other guys are better than you expect them to be. And that was the takeaway of Kettle.
So the only bad thing we can say about Kettle is that you had to pay for the game, so we couldn't watch it. So
Yeah, that's true.
That was the worst part about it. As I tried to watch it last night, I'm like, can't watch it. Got to pay for it. So screw that. So there is room for improvement for Kettle Moraine.
Yeah. Maybe one day you'll make people pay for your podcast. If we're paying to watch high school basketball, you can charge the
I think there's
loyal
probably
listeners.
more people that want to pay to watch high school basketball than listen to the podcast. But maybe one day, you're right. I forgot to mention that Kellett was not here again. They lost. The greatest 8-9 matchup in the history of basketball, all levels, was Friday night. I'm assuming you guys did not watch it. Did you guys talk to Kellett offline at all about it? Other than just our text string, maybe, or no?
I haven't talked to Kellett much, no, since the game.
Close game. So I was at the game. It was close the whole time. They had the lead in the second half, but I think it was like a 2 or 3 point lead. And there was like multiple possessions where like, Ryan, why are you entering the waiting room again? Did he freeze? All right, I don't know. Now we got double Ryan here.
There we go.
Ryan, can you see yourself twice on the screen or no?
Yeah, there are two. There are two of me.
All right, let me see if I can kick you out. If I kick you out, then come back in, obviously. But
Sounds good. I'm here. All right, we're good.
okay. There was multiple possessions where like if they hit a three, like Hardy shoots a three and like it goes to like 5 or 6 points, and it's like you can feel like the space of like a little bit of breathing room. Um, and Kimberly just went at it, and Kimberly just ended up getting the lead, and that was it. And it was like the last, 3-4 minutes of stalling, free throws, whatever, and they lost. So I don't know what, I wish Kel was here to talk about it, but it was a good game. It was a really, really good game, entertaining. So that happened Friday night.
Yeah, I would say without seeing the game, um, without seeing the game, obviously final score, like the pace of the game favors Kimberly, I would think, being in the 40s or lower scoring. But yeah, that's a common theme in those low scoring games that it's often comes down to one more shot. I
Yeah,
know that Kimberly, I know Appleton North beat them twice in the regular season, obviously with two higher scoring games.
yeah, in the 70s.
But yeah, wish we had Kellett's take here.
I'm looking at the stats are up. North shot 5 of 20 from three. So that's a perfect example, right? 5 of 20 from three. Kimberly 7 of 15. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
make miss game.
yeah, yeah. Any games, and we'll tackle D1. I guess we can tackle all of any games on Friday night that surprised you. Any teams won that you didn't, anything that caught your eye. We don't have to recap every game. I mean, people obviously should know. People who listen to this podcast, they know the winners and losers. So
I don't know if there were any major surprises. I thought it was a good win for DC Everest to go over to Hudson and win.
yep, I was gonna say the same thing.
I would not have picked that.
Nope.
Um, in our sectional, in our sectional, Madison Memorial going to Muskego and winning by what they won by is really impressive. But at the same time, Memorial is a really, really good team, with a ton of depth, and they've kind of never like really been healthy this year, and kind of starting to put it together. But obviously played really well. I would say those were the two scores that jumped out to me the most.
Ryan, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was going to say that league, the Wisconsin Valley Conference, did really well. With DC Everest got that road win. Spash and Marshfield both took care of business. Wausau East made it in Division II. The Wisconsin Valley actually did quite well for itself at the top. I think West and what were the other two teams, Merrill and Rapids. I'm not sure if they won or not, or how. I don't really know the strength of those teams, but their top teams all advanced through, which is a good sign for a conference.
Where was the game? I think you talked last week about Verona, didn't you, Chris?
Yeah,
Because
really
I
talented
saw,
team.
yeah, so they beat Sun Prairie East.
No, yeah, really good. Verona's really good. Group that probably honestly in their locker room thinks they're the second best team in the Big Eight. Really, really good team. I know they just lost to Sun Prairie West yesterday, but can get up and score with anybody. They also had a resume that was kind of skewed by the computer for them. I don't even let, but they played a bunch of really good out of state teams.
Mm.
I think they might have beat a couple of them even. I'm pulling their schedule up now, but I know they played multiple out of state teams that were really good. So it really skews your non-conference, especially, or skews your schedule and your resume, especially when you're in a league that has 18 conference games. Yeah, so I don't think they won a non-conference game. They
I
lost.
think they lost to Lakeville North, who's
They lost to
obviously
Lakeville
amazing.
North, on Alaska, Chicago Brother Rice from Illinois, and they beat Tosa East. Trying to find their other non-conference games here. Lost to Homestead. So yeah, so they played a really competitive schedule. Oh, and beat Milwaukee Riverside. Yeah, I just feel that their resume wasn't, for some reason, wasn't valued by the computers like it could have been and should have been. But that's how it goes, I guess,
Yeah.
sometimes.
You mentioned on Alaska. That one shocked me. Not shocked, but that surprised me.
Their tournament score?
That they lost to New London.
Yeah. Who beat them?
New London beat on Alaska.
New London, good coach. Zach Molnar knows what he's doing, and they play good basketball. He's got good staff too. I forget who he just hired as assistant. You remember, DePouw? But yeah, that I guess
DePouw guy.
surprises me a little bit, but I don't know. New London's good. I guess. Oh shoot, the score. Yeah, it is a surprising score, 60-43, but
Yeah.
that it wasn't close. But New London's good.
And then the other
And
one,
on
sorry.
Alaska too, like it's impressive the run that they've been on too, obviously. But they had to replace a lot of talent, and losing Stutley is really hard. I know Coach Powell is as good as anyone in the state, but they're replacing a lot, and I know they were playing a lot of young talent outside of Anderson.
The other one that surprised me a little bit. What the hell was it? Or not surprised. I was going to ask you about. It was under your sectional, Ryan, here.
Ah,
Yeah, Bradley Tech and Union Grove, that whole kind of mess.
yeah. I I guess that would be questions on the formula stuff, like how it weighs
Okay.
conference and conference strength. St. Augustine's prep is in the Lake City Conference, which is a different one, not the Woodland, not the Southern Lakes, not the Classic 8, where there's some D2. The Waukesha teams are D2, so the Southeast has Park, so it's a little, I think, smaller enrollment wise overall. 10 seed when beating a 2 by 35, I guess automatically qualifies as a surprise. I guess I never really got to watch them all too much once we found out we were on the opposite side of the bracket. I didn't check any St. Augustine prep film. We did play Union Grove during the season, and they have some good young players. They shoot from three, but 35, yeah, that one is a little higher than, if you're just looking. If you're thinking an upset's going to happen, usually it doesn't happen by 35 points with a double-digit seed over a 2 seed.
Yeah. And then the other one, well, okay, so that's the first Friday night. So let's go to Saturday. Is there anything more for Friday? I think Friday kind of went not for the most part as planned. I mean, it wasn't like totally wasn't many major upsets, I don't think, right?
Good win for your good win for your league, DePouw. I don't want to say I was surprised. I knew it was going to be a close game, but to come for Milwaukee Lutheran to travel across the state and win at DeForest by double digits is a good win. DeForest was playing their best basketball at the end of the season. But I know that those are pretty closely matched teams too.
And then, I mean, I guess the other thing we can say is how well the FEA did, which I don't think was anyone's surprise. Can we say it right? I mean, it's right. They went 7-2.
Yep.
Yeah, oh, yeah, real good.
And I mean, one of the losses
Hortonville over Superior. There's another 14-3 that would qualify as
right. But like we called that. We said Hortonville. I mean, at least I did. Hortonville was going to win, and Appleton East was going to win. They both won. Like the losses were Oshkosh West, which no one expected to win, and Appleton North that had to play Kimberly, another FEA team.
Yep.
Like I thought that Friday night was like, this is exactly what I don't know. It's like I said, I think I said it last week. It's people always talk about how it's one of the best conferences in the state, if not, it's one of the top.
Yep. No, I think it's definitely one of the top. I think that it changes year to year, and I think kind of it's widely accepted. I think this year that it would be at the top or the top.
Yeah.
I think the Greater Metro was really strong last year, though.
Yeah. So Saturday games, the one that I was going to ask you, you called this last week, Janesville Craig over Wanakee.
I didn't call this last week. The first time I got on your podcast.
You called it a year ago or what, 6 months ago or what?
6 months ago. You should go back and listen that I said, for you high school junkies, a team that's going to be really good this year is Janesville Craig. Yeah, really tough in a tournament setting too, especially in a back-to-back. Wanakee, really good. Won our league, best team in our league by a mile. Really good, really athletic and love the way they play, but tough matchup. Janesville Craig has really good guards and they shoot it really, really, really well. So like, and just they can kind of, if you can hang in, they pose a lot of problems for Wanakee. But no, they're good. Janesville Craig's good, and that'll be a fun one on Thursday. How did they how did those two teams play each other this year? Janesville Craig mixes their defenses a lot, so I'd imagine they do some things to Sun Prairie West. Then they just offensively they can really shoot it, and perhaps I know Sun Prairie West, does play zone as well. Sun Prairie West won by double digits twice. But no, that'll be a fun one. I really like Janesville Craig.
Okay. I'm just going through the brackets as you're talking. Like there wasn't a whole lot of, I mean, it's a lot of 1, 4 and
Yep.
5, 2 and 3s.
No, I would
Um,
I think that, if there was one thing I would mention, I thought there was a lot of good games. I mean, I thought it was a good day of basketball in the state. I mean, there were obviously blowouts at certain places, but like Beaver Dam had shots to tie it or pull in tight with Tosa West, playing them to a 4-point game. I think a lot of people would have expected that to be more of a blowout. Pius went to Burlington, won a 2-point game. Um, Mount Horeb and Milton obviously played a tight one as well. But and obviously Homestead and Sussex went down to the wire.
that
I
was a
think
good game.
the Germantown Oshkosh North score is probably one that jumps out as much as any of Saturday. But Germantown's also a really good team.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it last week. Germantown shot like shit the first time they played them. And did you see, Ryan? We talked about it before we started recording, but did you actually see that? That's how many threes they made?
Yep, 12 for 29, I believe. I'll pull it up right
Oh,
now.
okay. I didn't even look at the box score. I suppose because
The box was in. So
Okay.
G-Town loading right now. Germantown went 12 of 29 from 3. Oshkosh West went 3 of 18.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 25-point game or something like that. That'll do it.
It's 27 advantage from 3, and it was a 28-point game. So sometimes it is as simple as the math. Now, I didn't watch every second of it to see exactly what the shots were. Again, kind of to go back to your point earlier, and something we talked about last week, like, are they just shooting driveway Jays the whole time? You have to think that they weren't against Oshkosh North, that they were, at least contesting and getting there, that they're, pretty well disciplined and obviously fantastic team, fantastic season, but they have some darn good shooters. And like we talked about last week, they have a bunch of seniors that, sometimes that kind of collective group, especially when it's an older group, really rallies together. And I mean, they must have played an awesome game to win that handily at Oshkosh North, not even on a neutral site, after just getting beat by them at Germantown not too long ago.
It went. I mean, it happened fast because I had 3 screens going. It was not on one of my 3 screens. I had it on my computer, and I checked in on it like the end of the first half, and it was Germantown was up like 16 or 17 before halftime, and I'm like, oh, this is already almost over, and then it just exploded after that. So they must have jumped on him early, obviously, but that probably is the most surprising score out of from Saturday.
I also thought it was a good win for Racine Case to go to Brookfield Central and win. I know Brookfield Central was playing without Jack Doherty, but a kid from Racine Case Jr. named Anthony Bull, props. He's a good shot maker. It's under the radar kid, but he hit a really tough shot in the corner that, type of shot you practice shooting on the driveway all through growing up. He got to hit one of those dream shots, with like a second left to go up by 1. Highly recommend watching the end of Racine Case Brookfield Central if you are a sucker for just high school basketball craziness.
So why wasn't Jack playing? I didn't know that.
Concussion.
Yeah. From Friday night,
I don't know if it was practice. No, he didn't play on Friday night either. I don't know if must have been during the week of practice, but I don't know if he has a history of concussions or anything like that would have elongated the time being out. But I'm 99% sure I saw that on Twitter that it was concussion related.
Okay.
Yep, and Homestead I saw had to go coast to coast and draw a foul at the end of the game to win by 2. I haven't gotten to watch it yet, but
yeah, I caught the end of that one. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I had too much going on.
Fondy, did you watch any of Fondy DePouw?
It was close. It was like a
12-ish
point game at like 10-ish, 12 at halftime. I had it on kind of, but I was like had it on my computer. I wasn't really locked in. It was one of those things like I knew DePouw was going to win. You know, like same thing with watching Wisconsin Lutheran play Whitnall. It was a 3-point game at halftime, and I'm like, I know Lutheran's going to win. Like, I don't need to watch this. I trust Cantu more than anyone. Like, I know there's no way he's going to lose this game. And they ended up winning by like 25. Same thing with De Pere. Like, if there's teams that you trust, I trust De Pere. I'm like, I know they're going to win. It was closer than I thought, but I wasn't paying close enough attention to it to see exactly why it was that close. Because I was watching Kimberly Marshfield and Kaukauna Appleton East and Nina Hortonville. So I didn't see it. I just saw that it was close. Yeah. It still ended up being 20 points, I think, right?
Like 15.
Okay. 16 point. Yeah, 70 to 54. So yeah. All right. Well, let's preview the sectionals then, I guess. Unless you have more.
Grafton played Nicolay.
Oh, yes, that was a good game too.
Grafton played Nicolay tough.
Yes.
Obviously a lot of talent in that game, and they would have been playing for the third time. But curious how their first two matchups went. But no, Damon James, props for. I mean, I'm sure you lose by 6. I know they were definitely in that game and gave themselves a coin flips chance or whatever chance to win the game.
Yeah, that was a close. I forgot about that game too. We put that game on at the end because it was very close the entire time.
Yeah, they had lost by 20 plus twice. So I mean they, almost pulled it off.
Yeah. All right, should we go move to the sectionals here? Preview this stuff for
Let's do it.
this coming weekend. All right. So Thursday games. We'll just move left to right because it'll just be easiest this way. Marshfield, Kaukauna, Nina, Stevens Point. If you are you guys are coaches. What's the game plan against Marshfield? What's the game plan against Kaukauna? What do you guys do?
Coach DePouw?
Sure, I'll go. I know, Marshfield, both teams really shoot it. Really, really, really shoot it. Kaukauna, obviously, a little bit more size inside with Jensen and O'Neill, and a little more ball screen heavy Kaukauna, whereas Marshfield's going to run a lot of off-ball stagger. I know they, when I watched them against Spash, the 2 games earlier, they say they liked, doing some stagger flare, stagger pin, try to get you lost on the perimeter, open up, catch and shoots. Brooks Hinson shoots it as well as anyone. Landon Lee can really shoot it. Chris Paul can really shoot it. So they put a lot of pressure on you, horizontally on the perimeter by with their spacing and movement to try to create shots, and they take care of the ball really well. So I would think Kaukauna probably wants a higher possession game, although they did, we talked before the show, holding Appleton East to, was it 8 points in the first half? So maybe, obviously playing really well defensively, at least in the first half there, and they won by a lot on a Friday night as well. So they are seemingly pretty locked in on that end. I would expect Kaukauna probably would really try to stick in face guard there and funnel everything into O'Neill and Andrew, try to make those guys score 2s when Brooks, Landon Lee are good finishers, but they're great 3-point shooters. So I would think that would be probably their game plan. On the other end, Kaukana's interesting in that they're one of those teams that feel like they get kind of similar shots no matter who they're playing, type of deal. So I think Marshfield's probably making their kind of selections on who they're willing to live with being like kind of open versus who they're not willing to live with shooting semi contested threes would be, I think, what I'd watch for, and you probably get a good feel on that early in the game if they're really actively helping off of someone, or if they're really, really sinking on Jensen and O'Neill, and which is going to open up those ball screen off the dribble threes, or if they're doing like a switch scheme and kind of trying to bait them to throw isolation post ups, which obviously those two are good enough to score one-on-one on the block. But if they're trying to take away the 3 and make them play through that, I think would be kind of the fun coaching chess match pieces, because and when you get to this level, there's not a lot of good options on a lot of these teams, as will probably be a recurring trend here. But I think, when you're dealing with imperfect options, those choices are fun to watch.
No, I like this matchup a lot, and I sort of think that the teams kind of have similar plans somewhat to guard each other. If I think we've watched Marshfield a few times, really good zone offensive team, so I'll be interested to see how much zone Kakana does decide to play.
That was I was gonna say that through. I'm like, do not think Kakana's gonna play his own because they've been playing it all year.
They've been playing it all year. I mean, how much they've been playing more man lately. You definitely know more about how much zone versus man they would play. Obviously, you can accomplish all the things that you would want in a man in his own and vice versa. So they can change certain things with all the week to prepare. But yeah, I mean, I personally think with all the length that they have, that they really need to get out and not allow rhythm threes for Hinson and Pohl and Lee and all those guys. I think that the telling stat will be Marshfield's made threes and attempted threes even. If that number is low, then I think Kakana wins the game. But I think with Marshfield, I also think defensively, like Marshfield has the size and toughness to be able to try to guard Kakana one-on-one or like two-on-two, so to speak, with those bigs, I think. So defensively, I think they're trying to stay home on the shooters of Kakana. That is all playing.
So he was not in the box. I just looked. He was not in the box score from last night, but I believe he played. I don't. So it doesn't mean maybe he just didn't score or do anything. But I think I was told he played Friday night. But I don't think he's. I mean, he's not. He's not 100% for sure.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think with Marshfield's size, I don't think they'll be really helping off of any of those Kakana shooters. Like I suspect they'll be trying to guard Jensen and O'Neal more like one-on-one or two-on-two, and that help would maybe then come off the opposite big. Those two do such a good job cutting though when they're the like the double guy, because I think that the common conception that people would say is like, we're going to double the post right when it goes inside off of your non-shooter, but obviously they're working on it all the time. And those two can both really pass. So it's hard anytime you do help there, you got to be ready to recover. And I personally think I like Marshfield trying to guard those guys one-on-one, trying to make them make 40 jump hooks. And then I like Kakana trying to force Marshfield to make 40 layups over 2-6-9 guys. Because if Marshfield wants to guard them one-on-one on the block, they have to play their big guy, who will also allow Jensen or O'Neal to kind of roam the paint defensively a little bit. And then Marshfield has a senior too that can really guard, that'll make things hard on Keegan to find rhythm threes. Number 10, I think he is. He'll play him with really limited help, but I like that matchup. I think the key honestly is Marshfield threes attempted, and then like that first time that ball goes into the post, just kind of seeing what Marshfield's going to do with it. Be interested.
You guys want to make a pick? So if all the coaches, this is good. If all the coaches that are still alive in the tournament, they should just listen to this podcast tomorrow, and they can get all their scouting reports from you two. That's the plan. But yeah, what's your pick?
I think I like Marshfield against Kakana. I like the size that they can put. I like that they can kind of match Kakana's size a little bit. And I realize I think I'm on the unpopular side here.
I'm going to take Kakana and endear myself to this unintentional FVA centric audience right now.
I have Marshfield, by the way. I picked Marshfield before. I'm just going off of my bracket that I fill out for high school.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm sticking to my Marshfield pick.
This bottom one is this bottom one's the dog fight that we love anyway.
Yeah. So okay. So all right. So no, we're not going to be surprised either or Kakana or Marshfield.
No, this is like we talk about. This is like we talk about. Every single parent in the stands is going to think about this game for the next 10 years. That your son was in a coin flip game and a couple bounces either went your way or didn't go your way.
Yep.
And it's not your son's fault, and it's not coach's fault either. Just
yeah.
Hoops is hoops.
Yep. All right. Well, the bottom game is Nina Stevens Point.
Yeah, this is a fun one. I truly believe this is two of the best defensive teams in the state. That both want to play a similar style, and there's not going to be easy shots found. There's every basket's going to be earned. Um, I don't really look into this very often. Do you think it matters of the like playing at Appleton East thing? I know Spash played there also, but like, is there any like comfortability thing? Do you think about that in sectional games? I don't think it really matters.
I don't think it does. I mean, Nina plays there once a year, but
Yep.
it's all different kids every year. So
And obviously, I know Nina travels exceptionally well.
yeah,
I think Spash really will too. Will too, but
it'll be packed. It'll be packed. Yeah.
I'm curious how much of a home feel it'll have for Nina.
Um,
And if that makes a factor at all. But Stevens Point's really good. Grant Shandonaz is as good as anybody in the state that people don't know, but Nina has seen him and they've played him a couple years in a row. This is gonna be a fun one. Race to 50. And some of the most valuable plays in this game will be like who recovers a loose ball, who tips out a rebound to their teammate, who makes one box out that just like changes a possession. I think this is going to be one of those fun old school games.
Yeah, you literally said exactly what I was just about to hop in and say. So well done. I feel like this game is turning on. I, I, I mean, number one, good luck getting the ball in the paint. These teams are
Yep.
so disciplined, so good, so well coached, and just all five players that are pluses on both sides that are in tune with the scheme defensively, are tough defensively, share the ball, play hard, run their stuff offensively. It's going to be just a really good old school game. I think this one is turning on just like some like loose ball tip out that ends up in Corso's hands or Chandonaz's hands for a wide open three when just a kid makes a play by just gets there an inch earlier and gets the ball out. I think this is gonna be a really, really, really fun basketball game in terms of just just good competitive winning basketball, and it'll be fun. That'll be really fun.
so they played first game of the year. They played. Stevens Point won 55-47. Nina shot, and Nina didn't have Luke Young, who's one of their like better defenders, and he's their size. They played totally different with him. Nina shot 4 of 22 from three. But Stevens Point won 55-47. It probably doesn't mean anything. It was 3 months ago. I mean, but they have played each other. I don't there'll probably be more Nina people there, but I don't think it'll be that. I don't think it's going to be feel like a total home game for Nina. Other than the fact that Nina parents and fans are crazy.
So they played last year as well.
Mhm.
Season opener, and Stevens Point had a very similar. I think they're basically the kind of the same core of players. They've added really underrated point guard Carter Coombs, whose dad was hired at UW Stevens Point when Dernbach went there.
Yep.
So he's really helped their team. But um, Nina beat them by almost 30 points last year to start the year. But no, this will be a fun matchup.
All right.
Just like good basketball.
Who are you picking?
I have a hard time picking against Nina.
I gotta write this down.
I just think you have to go Nina until it's like the big bet. I flipped. Chris and I were talking before, and I said I thought I was going to take Spash, and the big bad wolf thing you said about about Kettle made me. I started thinking about just Nina in this sectional, and they just they're like Michigan State in an NCAA tournament bracket. It's just I don't know. They're just somehow it's going to be 54-49, and they're going to be shooting free throws, icing the game at the end. I don't quite know how, but no, this is a really, really good game. Both of them. This is a fun Final Four in this sectional here. Two Wisconsin Valley versus Fox Valley Association matchups. Two, like, heck, even the teams got the same colors on, or the same color schemes that play against each other, red and white versus the black and orange.
Didn't even think
Kinda,
about that. That's why you're on the podcast, Ryan.
well, there we
Fucking
go.
shit like that.
Recurring guest at this point. No, I think it's going to be two really, really fun games. If you, when you're going through and trying to figure out what games you're putting on your screen, if you're split screen in these two, I don't think you're the slightest bit wrong.
No, yeah, this is a really fun sectional too, in the sense of, if you look at all of them, you have 4 teams that all have like between a 20 and 30% expected percent chance of making it to the state tournament. So you could see any of these teams make it through.
I have, just based on the history of this podcast, I've resigned myself to the fact that Nina is going to go to state, and it's just going to haunt me. This Nina thing's going to haunt me forever.
That's they're being picked for a reason here.
But I'm picking Stevens Point.
I love it.
Oh, God help me. Oh, all right. Sectional 2, we've got DePouw against Homestead, Germantown, Arrowhead. DePouw, Homestead, awesome game. We talked about this last week. We hope this is going to be an awesome game. What does Homestead need to do? And we said it again last week. What can they do to beat DePouw? Like, that's the question about this game. How can Homestead beat DePouw?
Homestead can really, really shoot it, and they're not going to be intimidated, in the sense of, they played DePouw last year. I know they got beat good, but that, a lot of those guys are back. They played Wisco this year. They actually played Wisco to, I think, a 3-point game. I'm going to verify that, or if someone has Wisc Sports up and can.
They played DePouw this year. They played DePouw this year too. They've already played once, but continue on a good roll.
They really shoot. They stretch you with, Frank's playing. We gave him his well-deserved praises last week. He's an awesome player, but having a stretch 5 like that, 4-5 really is and I guess anyone beating DePouw is an upset, but is such an advantage in the one game setting. A guy when you think of a lot of NCAA tournament teams that that slay the giant, or win the beat the Kentucky, or the fantastic, awesome, uber talented 1 seed. It's usually a team with a stretch big that goes off and gets them running around, because those shots are just hard to being able to get a pick and pop 3 with Tim Franks is such an advantage. But at the same token, people can go back and listen to last week. We talked about when we were asked, how would you try to play against DePouw, and where there was a lot of because there's not a good answer. They're so good, so well coached, so many ways to beat you. They're the king till they aren't the king anymore, type of thing. But Homestead has, I think their route is a lot of, 3-pointers. It's a high attempt game. Maybe get the tempo going a little crazy. Maybe DePouw takes the bait. I can't see them doing it, because they're just so disciplined running their offense. But maybe they get into a little kind of loose game with free flowing transition. Looks more like open Jimmy style, and it gets going that way. And Homestead hits 14 threes and wins. But that would be, if I'm Homestead, thinking of my outs. I don't know if the more free flowing, the more up and down, open concept type of stuff they can get, I think the better they'll be.
Yeah, looking at the previous boxer, I'm just looking at some other DePouw games right now too. It looks like Homestead really prioritized taking away the 3. DePouw only attempted 11 threes and went 2 for 11. DePouw kind of won the game. They're really good, but they sort of just won the game at the rim and at the line. It looks like they went 26 of 36 on 2s. So Homestead obviously will just have to do a really good job trying to stay in front of the ball to not give up as easy of layups, but it looks like they're prioritizing taking the 3-pointer away. And then offensively, like DePouw said, with the attempts, they just got to find a way to get looks. It's going to be hard to score at the rim consistently all game with DePouw's, size and athleticism, but in the first game, Homestead went 6 for 10 on non-Franks threes, and Franks actually went 0 for 4 from three. So I'm sure that's Kinzinger guarding him, and doing a really good job. But Homestead just has to find a way to make enough threes to hang in there. I think that they if they don't make 10 threes, it's gonna be a tough one.
Well, and then taking away the threes from DePouw might lead in to exactly what DePouw is okay with, which is the ball to
Oh,
Will Hornseth.
totally. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they obviously dominated the game at the rim. They scored 73 with two made threes and went 26 for 36 and made more free throws than Homestead attempted. Kinzinger went 10 for 12 from the line. So um, they got to do whatever they can to try to make it a little bit tougher to score twos as efficiently.
Are we all picking DePouw, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The long-winded version to get to that, we're all picking DePouw. And then we've got Germantown Arrowhead.
This one will be up and down. This will have some points. If you like offense, this will be a fun one. We talked about G-Town earlier. Really, really shoot well. Senior heavy, good like motion based team. A lot of guys that can do it. Very balanced. They've been pretty well covered here the last couple weeks. And they're gonna be ready to go, ready to play, and physically can hold up. Arrowhead runs dribble drive, and then has the Jace Gilbert, really, really strong Division I football kid down low. I believe Chris talked about him last week. He's just a load to handle inside. Obviously, basics really, really good, and they just have so many athletes and dudes that can beat you. But this one figures to have some points. I would think Arrowhead deservedly would be favored. But hey, G-Town just went to Oshkosh North, put up 87 and won by 28. So clearly is playing right now.
Yeah, fun game. I echo a lot of these things, and it's an interesting matchup. Basic is really good, and I'm curious what where Germantown goes with him defensively. He's just so physically imposing for a guard, in that knowing you have to have a bigger guy on someone who's even more physically imposing inside. And they have another 6'7" guy who's athletic and does things. So you really got to decide where you're going to put your size. Because if you're too small on Basic, he's going to eat you up. And Germantown's, they have a sophomore I really, really like, but he's going to have to guard someone that is tough for him. And from what I've seen of him, granted, I've only seen him a few times, but no, Arrowhead brings just so much size and toughness along with the shooting and IQ of their bench. So I would lean Arrowhead here, just in the sense of how hard they are to match up with kind of what Germantown's bringing back. But Germantown does have a banger for Gilbert, but Gilbert's going to be big and tough for anybody.
We all taking Arrowhead?
I would take Arrowhead, yes.
That's where I would be at. But I think this one's going to be sneaky, really fun.
Sure. All right, sectional 3, we have got Kettle Moraine Beloit Memorial. I know nothing. I mean, obviously, we just talked about Kettle Moraine earlier. I know nothing
this one's
about
gonna hurt.
Beloit
This one's gonna
Memorial.
hurt to talk about.
Well, you don't have to do it long. You can make it quick if you want. It's up to
No,
you.
I got you. But two of the best guards around that people don't really know. Obviously, I talked about Will Stuckey earlier from Kettle. I love his game, and they got other guys that deserve praise too. They're a 1 seed for a reason. But Beloit Memorial has a kid named Amari Hereford, who's just only a sophomore, and really carried that team to a nice season. Scored 25 a game and helped other guys really get good looks. He's just explosive and fast. He's just one of those kids, you just feel his speed watching the game. End line to end line quick, covers so much ground defensively. And then, makes the game easy for his teammates too, with how well he handles pressure and gets them into things too. But Beloit Memorial, disciplined team, so they'll definitely have a good plan and they're really quick and athletic. So, I'm interested to see how they guard the ball. Kettle Moraine does a ton of switching defensively. And Beloit Memorial runs DePouw and I have a funny name for this offense that Milwaukee South Division made famous for many years with a back screener at the free throw line for and
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and Kettle will be switching a lot of those screens, so I'll be interested to see if what Beloit does to try to get Hereford onto certain people and give him space. But no, Kettle's really, really good, and I think that they'll be a tough cover. And if they shoot it like they did last weekend, they'll be hard to beat.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out, Coach Marks at Beloit. Done a really good
Yeah,
job a couple of
yeah,
years.
really good job.
Really good job building building that back up. I think I didn't look at the preseason projections and whatnot. I know they're in the Southern Lakes and not the Big Eight this year, but they had a really good season. I can't imagine too many people were out proclaiming that Beloit was going to be playing and Beloit Memorial was going to be playing in sectionals at the start of the season after after last year. I think they were a 14 seed or something like that, and they've done a really good job this year. Obviously, those kids are talented. Hereford's fantastic, and they're playing really hard for coach. So I just want to give a shout out Todd Marks, former Eau Claire North. Had some good teams up there, Dalton Banks and co. But did a nice job and has been doing a nice job. But I would think as Kettle's got so much. I don't want to put more salt in Chris's wounds, but they just have so much shooting, so many ways they can beat you.
Well, I think he'd be throwing salt in Chris's wounds if we said Kettle Moraine sucked and they never should have beaten Oregon. This should make Chris feel better.
Yeah.
A little bit. All right, Sun Prairie West, Janesville, Craig. Here's the question. How would you guard Chris Davis Jr., who's averaging over 40 points a game?
Yeah, my answer is interesting, but I think the key of guarding Chris Davis is it starts with your offense. You need to have good floor balance, and they're the best. I used to go to Forrest Larson camp as a kid, and there's probably a lot of listeners that have gone to Forrest Larson's camp, and I always used to remember Forrest Larson saying, "We are going to be the best pivoting team in the state. We're not might not be the best team in the state, but we're going to be the best pivoting team in the state." And at Oregon, I challenge myself that I always want us to be the best outlet pass throwing team in the state. And it is Sun Prairie West. We do a lot of drills to try to find outlet passes quick. Sun Prairie West has the amount of guys that can grab a defensive rebound and just get it to someone fast who leads to transition. It's awesome for a high school team. And Chris Davis is the best rim runner in the state. He's really smart in his like timing of when to leave and how to get an advantage just in transition. And I think whoever's guarding him has to be aware of where he is when an offensive shot goes up. That player, even if you're, completely punting on all offensive rebound responsibilities, you can't give Chris Davis breakaways. And limiting his breakaways, I think, is the number one way to limiting his buckets. And then in the half court, you just got to make him work for his touches. And once he gets it, you just got to make the quote unquote right decision be pass. And there's certain guys that you can try to make that right play be, but it's obviously easier said than done. But I think it all starts with your kind of floor balance offensively and not giving up breakaways, because he gets more. I guarantee he definitely leads the state in fast break points.
Do you know how many, by the way, I'm looking at the stats. So, because this has been right, it's all layups, the transition stuff. You know how many threes he's taken this year?
Most of his threes, like I said, are in the half court, and they're all really dynamic. Again, I don't know if this is updated. Like I don't know if every game is in there.
Sure.
But I bet he takes 7 to 10 threes a game, 10 threes a game.
It's Yeah, I mean it's 23 games are logged, 233 attempts. That's a ton
That's
of games.
pretty solid guess.
That which is insane, right? So he's taking 10 threes a game, and he's the best transition player. Like,
Yeah, and
I mean,
most of the
unless he's pulling up on one on O breaks, but I don't think he is.
no, most of his threes honestly come in the half court, and a lot do come off the dribble. But you know those shots are not standstill shots. His shooting is off of movement and off the dribble, and they are tough. And he is dynamic, like both directions he can make them. Um, he's almost more comfortable with a hand in semi contesting. And if you give him too much space, you know, what's he shooting percentage wise? Because I would argue he's better going to the rim. But
43.3% from three.
yeah, so he's probably not better going to the rim. But it's hard to the threes that he takes is hard to prevent him from taking, um, without, you know, doing something drastic.
Yeah, right. Because you're like, if you're coach, okay, if a guy's going to come off a screen shooter, off the bounce three, off a switch or whatever, okay, that's fine. But 43%, man, that's almost 1.3 points per shot. Not to mention the chance that they get the offensive rebound if he does miss, it. That I really think the floor balance, the offense point is the right one, and some Prairie West gets you just in that type of game. They speed you up. Offense or your offense gets sped up by them defensively so much that it gets going in that rhythm that kind of chaotic, controlled chaos tempo, and then he gets hot, and then those other guys are really good players too, Tavian Crawford and Haney and Chris, you would know more of the names there.
No,
But they can so many guys that can play besides Chris that in transition it makes it really tough.
no, I totally agree. I mean, I think DePouw hit the nail on the head that nobody's scoring over 40 a game without like things that their teammates do both for them and for themselves.
Yeah.
And I think Chris Davis has gotten a lot of ink this year, and it's deservedly so. He's as hardworking and you know, as good kid in the area, but the his teammates are very good and play in a way that like empowers him to play the way he can play. Um, you know, there's some comparisons. There's some trade, like one of my favorite players to watch was back in the day, Trey Jefferson, who played with the Rebels, and Kevon Looney, like, and kind of some of those other Rebels did a lot of things that allowed Trey to quote unquote be showstopper Trey. And Chris Davis, you know, has some of those similar characteristics of just like shutting a gym down and being a lights out scorer. But the teammates that, you know, Tavian Crawford, you know, has a little bit of like a Rajon Rondo type vibe to him. Two-way player that can really pass. Ian Ackley is a multi-year all-conference football guy that's as high a IQ screener and passer as a big guy, you know, in the area that nobody talks about. Tyler Haney can really play. I'm going to screw up which one this is. Mike Williams is a really good guard. Casey Wambach is another really physical, strong, tough-nosed defender. And, you know, all these kids, you know, they don't care about, you know, they love that they got a teammate that's getting, you know, at least they play the way that they don't care about the quote unquote the glory. But you know, they make a lot of selfless plays.
Well, long story short, they're playing your team, Janesville Craig. So
Yeah. I think Craig's good. I like Craig, but you know, obviously a weird matchup for them. They lost by double digits twice, so we'll see what they can do. But they're picking a good time of the year to play their best basketball. If if I have to be the guy that picks Janesville Craig to be that guy, just because they've been my team for 6 months, I can do that. Um, and I, but SP West is a good team that fits together, and they're a lot more than just Chris Davis being a 42-point scorer. It's not like Pistol Pete playing, you know, it's a good team that scores, you know, strategically gets their 42 from a good score.
picks, I got some Prairie.
I'll take the Cougars.
I would lean SP West.
I'll take Craig. It's hard to beat somebody 3 times that shoots it as well as Craig. And yeah.
It's also hard to beat a team that has a player that scores 40 points a game.
No, I know this is not a head pick. This is a heart pick.
Yeah, no, I get it.
This is the one that 3 years from now, I'm going to be thinking back to the podcast thinking, gosh, I should have picked
Right.
Very West.
Haunch at night. Sectional 4, Marquette Racine Case. I guess the same thing, right? What can Racine Case beat Marquette, and if so, how do they do it?
My personal opinion, this is I think really highly of Jake Burse. Racine Case had a really good year. This is a tough matchup stylistically, in my opinion, with the size and skill of Marquette. But at the same time, Racine Case has like the kind of what we talked about last week with the Jaquan Johnson-ism of like a point guard that can kind of just control the game, control tempo, and make the game kind of goofy. Termarion Brumby is a Division I football type player, kid at Racine Case, and a 3-year starter, maybe even a 4-year starter that played in the state tournament, that started in the state tournament 2 years ago. So he's played in huge games and won't back down, and he'll be thinking about this for three nights and have his guys ready and do everything they can. And I personally think this is a game where Case kind of has to muck it up and do some goofy things, but Marquette makes it really hard for people to slow tempo too.
Yeah, I think Case needs it to be lower scoring, or that gives him definitely the best chance, but it's really hard. Marquette, in a different way than Sun Prairie West, but similar to the fact of they make it really, really hard for your offense to not go and shoot your first open shot, because they come down, they score so quick, or they attack so quick, and then you get the ball back, and it's your instinct is, your team just got scored on, is right to try to get that 2 points or 3 points back right away. Or if they hit 2-3 threes in a row and now you're down 8, like, do you still have the discipline to work the ball and take the time that's necessary to try to stay in the game long term? Is really, really, really challenging to do. And Case, obviously, a great win at BC. We talked about earlier, fantastic shot by the Bull kid from the corner. This is a tough matchup. The Marquette, they 56-18 in the first half against a upper half conference opponent, or Southeast Conference opponent of Case. That's they're playing well, and they just have so much firepower. Obviously, Case needs, Marquette shoots, I got to think, 30 plus threes a game. They need that to be a low percentage game, and some of that's in your control. Most of it's out of your control. Marquette just seems to be humming.
I'm assuming we're all taking Marquette. I keep on saying both. 3 of us. Marquette?
Yeah, it would be Marquette.
Yes.
Ryan, you can lead this one off. Last sectional, bottom half. We've got West Dallas Central and Milwaukee Hamilton.
Yeah, right on. So West Dallas Central, 6th seed, Woodland Conference, West Side Division. So same league as us on the other half, but then Pewaukee, Pius, Wisconsin Lutheran, both New Orleans, Greendale. So very strong league. They have a really young, talented team. They actually won these 2 games here without Yusuf Gray, who is Sports number 1. Is he number 1? I think he's number 1. Near the top ranked player. If not, I can't recall exactly, but he's fantastic talent and player. They had a freshman, Max Jones, hit the game-winning shot at Westosha on Saturday, actually like a 4 p.m. game. So he's a real good player. We actually scrimmaged West Dallas Central at the start of the season. He's real good shooter. Has a game that is going to translate as he keeps getting older too. He can play off the ball, can play on the ball. He's a strong kid, good frame. He's a good player. They got Pittman's a real big kid inside, listed 6'9". I maybe listed out. When you're past like 6'8", you're just really big inside, big strong kid. So they have the athletes to hold up. Hamilton, I think, talked about last week. They really, really go. They won both their games looks like pretty comfortably. Guard Kamani Hunt is small, like 5'9", but man, he's just relentless attacking. And then a couple big athletic dudes inside. One's name is Rogers. That's a real nice player. I'm drawing a blank on the other interior guy that they have, but I would think WAC is going to try to grind this a little bit, try to make it 62-60, kind of like their Westosha game, whereas Hamilton is going to feel better the higher that score gets going. If they can get it into the 70s, get it into the 80s, I think they would feel pretty good about that, the more chaotic. And I think WAC, especially without Yusuf, is really going to try to run a lot of not stall or do anything overly aggressive with that, but I think they're going to try to be deliberate and make it a little more lower possession and come down to if some of those guys can hit some shots at the end of the game and then catch the right end of a coin flip.
Chris, anything to add or no?
I can't say I know too much about these teams. I know West Dallas Central is really young. But Milwaukee Hamilton, really good guards. Two good coaches that have a lot of experience here too.
Ryan, you said Yusuf Gray was out. Why is he out?
He hurt it. He fell off the rim dunking. And it was an ugly fall and like hit his face on the It was a facial injury from the floor after a dunk.
So he's out. Damn.
Yeah, so impressive for WAC to win those two games and still make it to sectionals. And totally winnable game for him against Hamilton.
He also broke his hand too or something. Hurt some like fall, hit his face, broke hand or something.
You guys is that what you guys call him down there as WAC?
Yeah, West Dallas Central.
Yeah, I know. I'm just wondering if that's what you guys actually call him as WAC. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who's the pick?
I want to say Hamilton. I think experience and I think I just want to say Milwaukee Hamilton.
I think I would go Hamilton too. Back-to-back sectional final if they would get this done. Pretty impressive for Coach Bell and company there, and losing. Demarion Birch plays at Bradley, Simeon Murchison at UWM, so they lost some really legit Division I talent, and to come back this year, win the city conference, gold division of the city conference, and be in the position to possibly go back to sectional final is really impressive.
So we don't obviously know who's going to win Thursday, and we're not going to have a podcast Friday. I mean, I guess we could, but probably not. So we've got to predict our final four. We'll have a podcast. We're going to preview the state. We're going to be back again next week. I'm assuming you guys will be back next week. So give me your final four. Give me your state teams. What do you got? I'll go first. I got Marshfield, De Pere, Sun Prairie West, and Marquette.
Go ahead, Ryan, if you want. I would be Kettle. I'd be Kettle, Marquette, De Pere, and Nina, the big bad wolf.
Oh man, I think I got the same four. Nina, I'll go Nina. I'll take Nina. I'll take De Pere, Marquette. Yeah, Kettle. I do not want the same four as you.
You guys are predictable.
I mean, the Sun Prairie West, I think Craig.
I love how easily you guys just both took Nina. Like Nina. Fuck.
Defense wins and travels in March. Just knowing that you're not going to give up easy baskets is good thing to lean on. The Kettle sectional final will be a great one. It'll really be a great one either way. I think that Craig Kettle is really, really fun. I think if I'm Kettle, I'd rather play Craig. I think they're almost like a little brother version of like they play very similar styles of like really high IQ guys that shoot the ball really well and good balance. But I just think Kettle is just like a little bit more athletic and a little sharper. But Kettle versus Sun Prairie West would be really fun. like really fun because Kettle's got just so many guys that are smart basketball players and been in those situations that I just don't see them being rattled by a lot of the pressure and things that Sun Prairie West does defensively. Sun Prairie West turns people over so much, and I'd be interested to see how Kettle did with that and how they attacked that. That game would be really high scoring.
I think that's the most stylist. Like if you were looking at just the matchups on what would be the most yin and yang stylistically,
Yeah, because
Kettle,
Kettle
Sun
would
Prairie
really
West.
want to slow them down, but Sun Prairie West would not let them or try not to let them.
Like no matter what in sectional one, it's going to be a grind sectional final, no matter what four or which
Yep.
two win on Thursday.
Yeah.
DePouw, Arrowhead, man, that is the state championship of last year in the in the sectional final round. Maybe discounting the magnitude of that game is pretty sweet. But yeah, then like if it's Marquette, Hamilton, no matter who it is in sectional four, it's going to be pretty similar tempo style teams. I think that possible Kettle Sun Prairie West is a neat one, just in terms of styles make fights.
All right, let's go to Division Two. We don't have to spend as much time because I mean, unless you guys, I don't know how well you guys know these teams. Wausau East, River Falls, West Salem, Fox Valley Lutheran. I wish West Salem had their box score up because I wanted to see how many threes they took,
The threes.
Yeah.
but it's not up, so I have no idea.
This is a fun sectional. We talked about it last week, just in the sense that all four of these teams really have a good chance to win. I don't want to speak too much because I don't think we know as much as I wish I did.
Yeah.
Wisconsin Valley Conference obviously has had a good year and or a good playoff run. So Wausau East is playing against River Falls, playing in the big rivers. They probably have that FVA feel of like when they go into the playoffs, they just are excited to play different conference teams. So good opportunity there for Wausau East, and that'll be a good competitive game. River Falls has been in and out of the top 10 all year. And then FVL, obviously all seniors that have played together and won a ton of games, and West Salem shoots it. So I could see any of these teams winning at state, but two close games here.
I'm sticking with my my guys from West Salem shooting the 43s a game. Give me a team after my own heart.
If I had to pick, I'd probably be West Salem and River Falls.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say I'll take West Salem to get to state is my thought, even though I don't know a ton about these guys. But I like threes. If you're gonna shoot a ton of them, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Sectional 2, Schwabenon plays Plymouth and Nicolay plays Cedarburg. I would assume, obviously, Nicolay is the favorite here.
Yeah, Plymouth has a really good guard. I really like him, Caden Schultz, and I'll be interested to see what he can do. But Schwabenon, I think, in my opinion, a little bit too much for Plymouth. Just kind of like I just talked about with the Kettle Craig thing. Like Plymouth is one really good guard with size and athleticism. Around him that's kind of good and coordinated. But Schwabenon is two really good guards with size and athleticism that might be a little bit bigger than Plymouth as well. So I think that's a tough one. I'd lean a Schwabenon there. And then down on the bottom, I just got in preparing for the playoffs here. We watched some of I was really impressed with Cedarburg on tape. They're good. They played excuse me, I'm just trying to pull this score up. They played Kettle Moraine pretty well very late in the year. And since January, they've only lost to Kettle and Plymouth by 1, and they beat Nicolay in February. So that, I think that looking at Nicolay and saying that they're a shoo-in to go to state, while they're loaded and have probably as much talent as anyone in Division II, even they just don't have Con 2. I think Cedarburg is going to give them a game. They're not afraid of them, and they've played a lot of good teams, and they have some big, tough kids. I wish I knew more about their individuals to give them some respect, but yeah, I like Cedarburg.
They're good. I watched them. They played Whitnall late in the year on the Saturday right before the brackets came out, and they're really impressive. There was just like a good, kind of in the Germantown mold of just like a good, solid team. Like everyone is just knows what they're doing. Everyone's playing hard. Everyone's physically capable. The North Shore League was really good this year. Homestead, good. Nicolay, good. Cedarburg, good. Grafton, multiple scholarship talent kids, good. Keep going down the list. It's really, really good league. So they played a lot of tough games. I mean, drawing Nicolay's. We talk about this sometimes. Like Nicolay's A game obviously wins this game. So if Nicolay plays an A and Cedarburg plays an A, and Nicolay's A is going to win. So they need to get Nicolay to not, which is partly their job, to get Nicolay to not play an A game. But I don't think they're going to roll over and get smoked.
Pick for the sectional. I'm just giving you guys. We're just gonna make a final pick.
Yeah, I would take both 1 seeds and Nicolay, but I think these games. I think this Nicolay Cedarburg game is a better game than people are giving it credit for.
Okay,
would be my statement I would want to make.
Yeah, Nicolay.
Okay. Sectional 3, I think, could have one of the best sectional finals of Division 1 and 2. Maybe
Sectional 3. I think Sectional 3 is maybe the best sectional remaining here, and these sectional semifinals are awesome games too.
Yeah, they are. So
awesome.
you've got Pewaukee, Tulsa West. We've got Stoughton and Mount Horeb.
Mount Horeb is better than people from not outside of this area realize, because the one time they went and played on that big stage, they played at the WBY and for some ironic played as bad as they could have played. But they are going to give Stoughton a game. They've played them tough twice. They have 2 players that are as good as anybody on the floor in any game, and that'll be a good one. That'll be as fun as that'll probably be the game that I want to watch on Thursday. It also unfortunately was moved to Oregon.
You got to work it.
Figuring that out, but that won't be the funnest one to watch in person, if so.
Ryan, your thoughts?
Yeah, they played 2 fantastic games this season. We're super familiar with Chris, obviously proximity, and then we know the Fernholtz family really well. Ty's such an awesome player. We coached Luke in AAU, his older brother, and Ty was always around, and watching him grow up, and he was always really good, but just become a monster has been cool. And then the rest of that team is so balanced and shoots it and big, and they're really, really good. Mount Horeb, so hard to guard with their spacing and shooting. And Josh Manchester, a guy that you could wake up on Friday and he went 11 for 15 from 3 and had 47 points as a sophomore. He just has a he gets hot like an NBA 2K player, hits one and all of a sudden his ring is bright red. He is fantastic, good basketball player. So that's a really fun game. I think Stoughton's experience, beating them twice, little bigger, stronger inside probably would be the lean, but those 2 teams, that's gonna be a fun game. Gonna be a really fun game at Oregon too.
So we didn't even mention Tulsa West. Can Tulsa West beat Pewaukee?
Yeah, I could do this one.
Go for it.
They certainly are going to expect to play with them, and I think they'll be right there. That size with Kai, obviously, Pewaukee has Luka Momcilovic, who's really, really good, and is at least physically big enough to not going to get overwhelmed there. But Kai is unique to deal with. Tulsa West has athletes on the perimeter. The freshman Jalen Brown, Klosky, Jake Hanson's played a lot of high-level basketball games in high school and AAU as well. Pewaukee, though, like just the king stays the king kind of thing. And we talked a ton about Nick, who's got to be closing in on that 300, that 1,000 points on threes. Haven't done an update from last week. Haven't verified, but they have him, and then I saw they have number 1 and 3 in the 3-point challenge leaderboard.
I saw that. Yeah.
Two of their other guys for Osterman, and then the sophomore. I don't know how to say his last name. It starts with a T. But the stretch big. So they shoot it so well. Isaiah Robinson's awesome, et cetera. That they would be my pick. And I wonder how Tosa West is gonna be able to get out and guard them. But Kai could, it's gonna be hard to score inside. And if Pewaukee gets a little hesitant at all, it's gonna be a little harder for Knicks post up like ISOs to get all the way to the rim with Kai down there. And I would think Tosa would probably really be emphasizing not fouling on those drives and trying to make him finish over Kai as much as possible. But easier said than done. He's so good at those little step backs and head fakes and ups and unders and every move in the universe to get to the free throw line. But that's a really good game in terms of like talent wise. You might say 2 of the top 5 teams in Division II, if not even better than that.
Sure. My guess is it's going to be Pewaukee Stoughton, which I cannot wait for. I think they played it earlier and it was a great game. Like it was awesome. My pick is Pewaukee, but I don't feel great about it because I think Stoughton can absolutely beat them.
I'll take Stoughton.
I'm sticking with Pewaukee.
Stoughton is, in my 6 years in the Badger Conference, as good as any team that's been in our league.
This year's Stoughton, you're saying?
This year's Stoughton's team.
Okay.
The combination of IQ and size is rare at high school. Similar to Pewaukee in that sense, honestly.
Okay. Section of 4, we've got Wisconsin Lutheran, Pius, and then Racine Park and Milwaukee Bradley Tech. This is obviously Wisconsin Lutheran's sectional to lose. Is there a chance that any of these 3 teams could beat them?
We talked about it last week. I think Pius has the Jaquan can control the game and you can't get the ball from him kind of thing. I would think they'll that part we talked about last week. So I would just basically retweet what we said there. But the other part of Pius that's unique is they are a team that kind of gets the same shots no matter what, and a lot of those are kick out threes to guys that can make them. So I guess there's a universe where they're really, really hitting. They're able to hang in there. And then second half, Jaquan kind of just controls the ball enough where they don't turn it over, and they do so. But yeah, Wisco is amazing.
Yeah, I saw some videos of Cantu had some dunks over the weekend that were
pretty
surprised.
good.
I mean, it's crazy. The kid just keeps getting better and adding things to his game that like he's getting the athleticism to catch up with the other, like, he's always been more athletic than people ever gave him credit for, but it's now starting to like pop off the screen a little bit more than it used to. But no, aside from that, obviously Wisconsin Lutheran's loaded. And just like we talked about with good teams, the thing with them is their other guys are better than you give them credit for always. Zenz makes plays, Malak makes plays, Green makes plays. They just got dudes all over the place that are smart. But Rinfleisch is as good a D3, player in the he's going to be a great WEAC player. They're good. So I Pius has the Jaquan thing, but I think Wisco rolls here.
Bottom half, any thoughts?
I think Park's going to be tough for Bradley Tech. Really good defensive guard, and they've been playing well down the stretch.
All right. And we all have Lutheran, I'm assuming, going to state.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll come back next week for when we get to state, and we'll make picks there. Do we have anything else we want to discuss before we get to the CGL preview? Any final comments? Any parting shots for your team? Parents? Any parents you want to rip on any parents?
I love my parents.
Good.
I had a great experience this year.
Good.
No, we have a good thing going, honestly.
Awesome. That's good to hear. I do like. I'm laughing, but it is good to hear because I know parents are fucking nuts. So
I mean, it's everywhere, but yeah, it's our parents honestly are great, and I'm really blessed with honestly the coolest thing with Oregon is like the town when it comes to playoff time, the town travels so well to other venues. You just gotta pinch yourself. I was at our sectional semifinal game for our girls this week and at Wanakee, and we were playing Kettle Moraine, and the it just felt like a home game, and it was just packed to the brim with Oregon with black and orange, and there's a lot of community support, and it's fun.
all right. CGL draft Tuesday night. So for anyone that does not know, there is a league in the Milwaukee area. Where do you guys play Milwaukee Lutheran High School?
It used to be Milwaukee Lutheran, and then it was Wisconsin Lutheran College. Right now, it's just a couple Lutheran. Are they elementary school Lutheran churches in Milwaukee?
Yeah, elementary like K schools.
Okay, so it changed a little bit. Okay, so it's the best league in the state. I mean, the talent's amazing. So it's what is it? 4 sessions a year, or is it 3 sessions?
I think it's 3 or 4. I think it's 4.
Okay, and the sessions are what, like 10 weeks long, 8 weeks long?
Yep,
10 weeks.
It'll go
10
10
weeks.
weeks.
So a new session is coming up. The draft is Tuesday night. I have a team. I'm not. It's my name. It's the unintentional has a team on it. Contu is the GM. Siebert, you are a GM. Con sent me the.
Pulling up the draft board now.
Those are fair GMs.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I thought it was funny because I asked Con, I go, how do they do the draft order? Because I thought to myself, Siebert self-proclaimed that he was the worst player of the GMs. So I'm like, well, he has to get the first pick or whatever pick he wants. But no, it's a random draw, whatever, apparently. So
Yeah, so we it's fun. We pick we shuffle out playing cards, ace through 8. Each guy picks a card. And the fun part is ace through 8. That's not the pick you have.
Yep.
That's the order in which you choose what pick you want.
Yep.
So it goes 1 through 8, and then
snake
back
draft.
snake draft.
Yep.
But then the team that gets the first pick gets the last overall player. So the 5th round does not snake. So there's some good advantages to being at the end of the first round.
Sure.
Yeah, 48 guys split into 8 teams of 6. So it's fun. Everybody gets a good workout every week.
Okay, I see.
12-minute quarters, stop clock. So it's a lot up and down, NBA minutes, NBA scoring with 6 guys. So but to get guys to come from all over, and we're not going to go for short or 10 guys on a team or anything. It's not Holy Cross.
Right, yeah, with your 15 guys on a roster.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a all right, let me ask Matt, I'll ask you this, but you don't have to. We'll see if you answer.
Okay.
You come up first. What pick are you taking?
Oh, I honestly wish I could tell you. I love talking this stuff. I have a clear strategy every time. My strategy basically is the red light, green light, green light system. You stoplight each guy in the draft, and there's always a certain number of first round players that I really like playing with. And if, for example, I really want 5 guys, I'll say I would be comfortable with 5 guys in the first round. I'll take the 5th pick or the 6th if I think someone else will take that guy. That's where I usually like to be. I prefer to be towards the back of the first round. Because I just don't believe that the drop off from player 1. We don't have LeBron James in our league.
No, we have Con.
And Con 2.
Yeah, we do.
Con 2 is usually a GM. Con 2 is usually a GM. So he's the obvious number 1 pick when he's playing. But with being a GM, that takes him off the board, and I'm comfortable playing with that those other guys other than like that fifth guy
So give me
typically.
who are the high school kids in this?
Yeah, let's look here.
I see Jack, I see Bennett.
I haven't really studied it. Bennett Basic. I'm going alphabetically. Bennett Basic, Jack Doherty, uh, Vaughn Carvala, who plays for me. He averaged 25 a game at Oregon this year. He's a really good player. Honestly, the sky's the limit for him. He's just still kind of learning, but athletically, he can do things that I don't know. DePouw can probably. He's good. He's very good. I think that's it for high school guys. Oh, and
Oh,
and
it's Cager and Kinston.
all of Khan's guys. Yeah,
Yeah, two brothers. Okay.
I thought I saw Janowski on the list, but I must have
I don't. Yeah, I was wondering if he's not in the list, but
sub list.
okay. Is there you said I would pick you would want. Is there an obvious number one pick or no? Like if someone takes number one, do we know who's going to be number one or no?
Let me look. It's
I don't
hard
know.
for
Like
the GMs are in the same list as the. I don't think so.
what's this P? It says so. What's this PR mean? I know
Oh, where is
PER.
that? That is like
Is
a
this a
formula.
CGL formula?
Stats don't tell the story, obviously, but that is basically points plus rebounds plus assists.
Okay. Oh, maybe my column's not even full enough. Full then. If
Yeah,
it
it's
said
hard
if it said PRA, I know what PRA is for God's sakes.
No, he does write it as PER.
Oh,
Yeah.
mine says PR.
Yeah,
PR.
yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah.
I have a different document than you.
Because
Or
so who's Quincy? I don't know who Quincy Jackson is. Who's Quincy Jackson?
good player from Milwaukee, can really score.
Okay.
Oh, here's another high school kid is DJ Johnson.
Yeah, I saw that name. I was wondering if he was high school. Who's that?
From Dominican.
He plays a Dominican.
Okay.
He's good. Good shooter. Strong kid. Nice player.
But like first pick, I mean, like Riley LaChance, people will consider.
That'd be a good pick.
Austin
Yeah, he was the
Arians.
first name I saw.
Austin Arians from Wake Forest, people will consider. Elijah's a GM, right? Yeah,
Elijah's the GM, yeah.
Bruss is a GM too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And Boley's a GM. There's Brugink's a GM.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting I mean Alex Olson will probably be a first round pick. Austin Stick will go early.
He's a GM too.
Oh.
It's basically our Holy Cross teams are the GMs. It's half of your team and half of my team.
You're an elite company, Chris, this session.
Better get some guys that can score.
Oh shit.
Yeah, there's some I don't want to give away my strategy, but we'll be laying in the weeds. We'll get the right guys.
How long does the draft take?
About an hour. No, less than that, half hour. But we talk for more than that.
Well, yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm driving an hour
Once-
and 45 minutes for it, so I better
Yeah.
hour whatever.
Yeah, once we start, it'll be short.
Yeah, I figured that. Okay.
But I'll get there early. We'll have some Papa Murphy's pizza. Compliments of Danny Bame. Oh, he's no longer in the league anymore.
Let's say I don't remember that name.
He played at Wisconsin Lutheran College. It's a lot of Wisconsin Lutheran College guys, obviously, because of
Con.
Con. Oh, you know who I did not mention because I thought he was Josh Metzger will get consideration for first pick too.
Yeah. So you had brought this, we had talked about this offline, and you know more about it than I do because you're in this league, but like the amount of work and like the creation of this league that Con has
Yeah.
had. So just talk a little bit about it.
No, I mean, yeah, totally. I mean, he deserves a ton of praise. I would say, I think there's a lot of guys in the league that, all the basketball you play your whole life, like some of the funnest basketball I've played is in the CGL, just in the sense that there's no pressure, and it's with all dudes that just love basketball, and are quote unquote playing the game the right way. If you're not playing the game the right way, you'll stick out like a sore thumb. But it's. There's no refs. and it is as physical and competitive as any league is around, and there's very little go bickering and going back and forth. It's competitive, it's good, it's unselfish. There's nobody taking possessions off, there's nobody taking plays off. And if you are, you'll last one session in the league. But it's good, it's fun, great group of people, and kind of when you finish college, like finding that place to play is almost impossible. I think there's a lot of people that, myself included, when you finish, like you're burnt, and then you just get out of shape and you go off a cliff, and then you're done. And then you can never get it back. And then finding the ability to like find good basketball again is impossible. So I went to it after a couple year break of playing, and at first I was so out of shape and just getting comfortable to play again without I owe like a lot of my physical health to the Knipple family, in the sense of I hate working out. I hate exercising. I'm gonna go to a
Uh-oh.
spin click, but I'll drive to go play good basketball with a good group of people. So I thank him for that, and I thank all the organization in that makes it cool. Like probably for cooler for some people. I honestly don't look at the website as much as I even should or could. But the organization, the effort, the time that goes into it, that's what it wouldn't have the good people in the league that it has without his time and effort.
Who does the scorebooks and scoring and stuff like that?
Sherry for the most part. Sherry, and then they have other people they pay.
So there's
You know who else does is Xavier Zenz from Wisconsin Lutheran keeps stats a lot.
so you have 4 games a night
Yep. But
times?
they're usually at 2 venues. So they'll have
Oh,
Sherry at
okay.
one gym, someone at another gym. Khan does the stats and the score for a game after he plays.
Okay. Got it. Okay. I
Yeah,
was
so
wondering how that worked out.
the
Okay.
Knipples are putting in a lot of time and work.
Yeah.
His younger kids will do it too.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of people that actually come and watch it all, or is it kind of like public doesn't? I mean,
No, there's not a lot of people. Not
yeah.
a lot of people. I would say it ranges from 0 to 10 to 15.
I think one time when
There
when
used to be more people. There used to be more people when we were at Milwaukee Lutheran. The whole everybody played at the same time,
Mm.
so
there was
more.
one time when we were on a Con2's team when I think we might have had
Yes.
25 or 30 people there that time. I think that was as close as we've been to capacity in a game that I've played in, non-championship.
Well, so it's interesting. So the league starts the 13th, right?
Yeah, does it?
I believe it starts the 13th, Wednesday the 13th.
Yes,
Mm.
it does.
So Cantu might not be able to play that 13th.
Yeah, tough week one for the unintentional.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I'm
gonna
looking.
be.
Uh-oh.
You would get a
Tough to
really
go
good.
undefeated if you start 0-1.
You can maybe get. Oh, never mind. I don't want to say that. I was gonna say you can maybe get Nick Janowski as a sub after Stoughton goes to state, but
That was
uh,
not nice. Don't
I
talk about
know,
an unintentional player that way.
I know. Um, no, there's a lot of good subs you'll be able to get.
So yeah, what's
I'm
what's the
excited
rule
that
on subs?
I'm excited that Nick's subbing too. I truly believe too, for a high school kid, there's no better place to play basketball to improve.
Oh, this would be amazing. Yeah.
To play against older, stronger, whatever, um, is good, and then they'll learn so much.
So what's the rule for subs? You can grab whoever, or what's the deal?
Basically, whoever, but it needs to be like talent. It needs to be approved by the other GM. And honestly, in the regular season, it's pretty.
Yeah. Like
Pretty
if I'm out, they can't get Nick Janowski for me. They won't that one won't fly.
But you'll be able to get basically anyone off the sub list for Con 2.
So do you play? So you play every team once, and then there's the playoffs, or what?
You play every team once in the first 7 weeks.
Yep.
Each game you play for a total of 7 points. You get 1 point for winning a quarter, and you get 3 points for winning a game. So like even if the game's a blowout, like even if you're down 30, you're playing for the points, and like it keeps you engaged even if you drove a long way.
Yeah.
And then the standings, like at the end of the year, there will be times where a team goes 4-3, but is ahead of a team that's 5-2 in the standings. So
Sure.
based off quarters won. Yeah, and then so you play every team once, and then we go into an 8-team, Maui style bracket. You win,
Okay.
you move to the right, you lose, you move to the left for a 10-game guarantee.
Okay. Shit, I just forgot my question. It was something about the playoffs.
It'll be
Continue.
fun.
Yeah.
The high school playoffs?
No. What's the farthest that someone drives to this thing? Who's the furthest away?
It's probably me.
I was just gonna say, is it you?
It's probably me. Vaughn will be the high school kid will be driving a long way.
Yeah.
But
well, when I come down, I'll have you both beat.
But he's all in to get as good as he can possibly get, and this is a place where he'll improve, and be around people that'll help him for sure. And then the playoffs, the other thing that's cool about the playoffs, we don't play like 1-8, actually 2-7. Like they do like 1 seed. Who do you want to play?
Oh yeah, hell yeah, yes, that is
So
the greatest.
So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think the setup is I mean, obviously the love of the game part and all the stuff Chris mentioned is the reason you play, but the setup stuff is what makes it makes it so cool, and like makes it from the best league to like just so much fun. Like the drama of who, like the amount of time we spent talking, I wonder if X team is going to pick us or to play against us in the first round. And then, you get that same thing in the second round or in the quarters. You look at the quarters won and, okay, all right, this team won, but they only won 1 quarter. They must that's so much fun.
Wow. I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. I can't believe you got Boley for Holy Cross. But
hey, we still got one more that we have to get if Khan's not playing. So
yeah, you'll be all right.
You send your shit in? Did you get your roster in, your money in?
No, but I sent a text. I told him I want to have my roster official so he's got it down.
Did you say keep yourselves on the other side of the bracket of us?
No. The only year we won was the toughest draw we ever had.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know.
Excited.
You're gonna have to play everybody anyway. And in all honesty, there's no easy game there. Just gotta make it to the second weekend.
True. Yeah. All right.
The easy game. Never mind, we won't go there.
You were gonna say Kenosha Ballers, and that was the team that beat me.
I was gonna say you got the easy game, but you learned from it. And now we're loaded.
Well, when you shoot, like I think we shot as bad as we could have shot. It was so bad from 3. And they played awesome. Whatever.
Yeah. It's been a theme of the podcast today, the 3-point shooting variance in a 1-game playoff.
Yeah, you never know.
Game.
You never know. All right. You guys good with coming back next week for another podcast, I'm assuming? Preview State?
For sure. Thanks, Sam.
Can't imagine you'd say no, so. All right, well, we got another 2 hour, a little less than 2 hours. We're making progress, guys.
We're more efficient today.
So
we wait, nothing good like a good time waster.
Well, Siebert, I get to meet you for the first time face to face on Tuesday.
Oh geez. We'll break bread over some Papa Murphy's pizza.
What time does it start? 7:30? Something like that?
Then you're going down. Is it 7:30?
7:30? I can't remember what he said.
I think it is 7:30.
I'll figure it. I'll be there.
This sub list is hilarious.
I see. I don't have that. I don't have a sub list.
Just the amount of names on it is wild.
I don't think I do, unless it's on another tab. I've got draft board, career stats, and rookies. Ooh, my career stats has pictures on it.
You're going to be in a rabbit hole.
Oh my God.
See you in 2 more hours.
All right, Sam. Well, thanks. I'll see you on Tuesday.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you later.
Later.